Hello, how are you? I was just, it's a pleasure to be here talking to you guys. It's so funny because I was just, watching you and I was thinking about my husband because he's a metal fabricator. So, so everything
Let's
that
have
you've been,
coffee, Juliana. Let's have coffee and cry on each other's shoulders.
it's funny because, I always mention him, to my clients when I, talk about, of course, migration, pathways. And yeah, it is a good pathway indeed. He's successful, let's say, metal fabricator. He pays all the bills here, not me.
That's the way to go about things.
Now, yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much.
No,
If you want,
thank you, people.
free.
See you at school.
So much.
Bye,
Thank you,
Juliana.
guys.
We'll have a
Thank you.
chat.
Thank you so
Bye-bye,
much.
guys. Hi, Ju.
It's so funny. How are
Now.
you? No, it's so funny because I was really, watching you and think about us. So, can you hear me well? Yeah, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all
all
good.
good. Yeah, it's
Let
just
me
it's just
see if the
cutting a
guys.
little bit.
I think the guys they are hearing you as well. So let's see. If
Yeah,
guys,
just
if
check
you are
with
not hearing,
everyone.
just let me know. Okay.
Yeah, just let us know. Yeah. So
So
it's funny. Yeah, I'm talking about about me. About my husband and I. Yeah. So he studied this course a long time ago. That was back in 2011. That will tell how old we are. But
oh,
yeah. So he did this course. I think at the time we only had one course in Australia. And yeah, we moved to the Gold Coast because that was the only course available, and we lived there for 4 years just so he could complete this course. And yeah, he's working, today at the casino, Barangaroo in Sydney, big, constructions. So yeah, it's a good
yeah.
migration pathway. Not that we got the residency via, his pathway, but it is
Perfect. So
still,
he's paying the bills. So that's the most important.
that's what matters exactly.
So guys, this is Juliana. She's from Seven Migration. They are working with Information Planet. They are our partnership with them. So Ju, can you just tell a little bit about you and everything? How's everything going?
Of course, yeah. I think you guys, have been watching me for a while now. Yeah, no, I'm Juliana. I'm one of the registered migration agents at Seven Migration. I joined the team in 2019. Yeah, super happy here. Yeah, so I can see the hearts and, the guys, you guys know that I love you
Everyone
guys.
knows you. Ju.
Yeah, no, not everyone, but yeah, I'm super happy for the opportunity to be talking about, this migration pathway. So yeah, that's free information, and that's why we are here, of course.
Perfect. So Ju, we have some questions that the students have been asking us. So I'll start with those questions. Guys, now I can see properly the chat. So if you have any questions, let me know. Juliana will talk about the fabrication course, the
Yeah.
fabrication trade course. So let's start with the first one. If I study this course, the fabrication trade course, am I eligible to migrate in Australia?
Yes, you are. So basically, this specific qualification is the minimum qualification required for a few occupations that we have nowadays on the medium and long-term skilled occupation list, which I call, the national demand list. So this is the minimum requirement to have a positive skills assessment or to work as metal fabricator, boil maker, pressure welder, and what else? I was just making some notes before, and sheet metal trades to be a sheet metal trades worker as well. So yeah, so this is the entry qualification, to start a career in those occupations and also professional demand.
Perfect. So, as we know, there are many trade courses that the student can choose. For example, carpentry, as they said, electrotechnology. There is the air conditioning, mechanical. So, why should I choose the fabrication trade course?
Wow, that's a good question, Victor. Come on. Come
They
on.
send to us.
Oh my God, it's hard, it's hard to compare, it's how I gonna, I'm gonna say that, my husband is a metal fabricator, so we had, we had these options before. It's impossible to compare, to be honest with you. I think we have a few options. There is no right and wrong or, best or worst option, I would say. But definitely considering the fact that since day one, since my husband started this course, he was never, never unemployed, not even for one day, since day one. So he got a job as an apprentice, of course, in the beginning. And after 6 months, he was already working, of course, part-time at the time. As soon as he finished the course, he was employed, and he's been employed since. So with the whole pandemic happening, he didn't, he wasn't home even for one day. So definitely, a lot of jobs there. He's always, thinking about new opportunities, and he changed jobs, a few times. He has his own company today, but he's the only employee of his own company. So I would say in terms of career, not that I, again, that I can compare, because I don't know a lot about careers, some of the careers, but in terms of living, and getting a good payment and etc., I can guarantee that, it's a good path.
I think the first thing that the student has, I used to say to the student is, try to think, do you like this course? Do you like this area? Can you see yourself doing that for your life?
Perfect.
So I think it's one of the most important things that the student has to think about before taking one course. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, my husband was not, an office person, and he was, he did a bachelor degree in fine arts in the past. He was doing big sculptures, and that was, when he chose, this course, he could see a relation between the course and what he was doing at the time. Yeah, so again, it's hard to compare, but definitely, a good pathway. And if you think about the number of students looking, to this course, if you comparing with other courses, we still have less students, looking for this specific course, which can be an advantage in a way, at least thinking about, migrating to Australia, the competition. Yeah.
So talking about the changes in the lists and everything, how can you see this course, the fabrication trade, the position are affected by the changes or not?
No, definitely not. So I don't think, those occupations, again, is not just one. So this course, just repeating myself here, I know, but this course is the minimum level qualification for you to be a sheet metal trades worker, a welder, a boil maker, a metal fabricator, and a pressure welder, which means that even if one of those occupations perhaps, is removed from the list, it doesn't mean that the others will be removed as well. So it's one course, but then depending on what you're going to do, or which kind of job you're going to find, you can have more than one option. Yeah, it was always there. It was never removed from the national list. And considering the big, the huge investment that we're going to have in construction until 2024, as per what they said in the federal budget announcement last year, there is no point in not having, metal fabricators and boil makers in the list. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so they need them. Yeah, that's why.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, a lot of jobs around. Yes.
Yeah. So at STC, they are offering the Certificate 3, which is 112 weeks, 2 years and 2 months. So we know that if the student has more than 2 years, the course, more than 92 weeks, they can apply for 485. Yeah. But I mean, is that enough for the student to get the pathway for residencies just to do this course, or they can add another course after this?
They don't need to. So they can go ahead just with the Certificate 3. And because that's over, 92 weeks course, then they are eligible to, before applying for a graduate visa, and we are talking about the graduate work stream, they need to apply for what we call provisional skills assessment with the Trades Recognition Australia. And again, that's the minimum requirement to apply for the TRA. So they apply for a provisional skills assessment, and then they apply for a graduate visa. Definitely, that's very common. It happens, very often. And of course, from the graduate visa onwards, then it depends on, how things will go. If the person will continue working, if they get a sponsorship offer, or if they'll be able to apply for a skilled visa.
So after this course, the student can apply for 485 visa.
Yes.
They graduate with 18 months of work.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and it's not related to any location. So it doesn't matter where you're going to study, you can apply for a graduate visa. There is a confusion between, you know, applying for a graduate visa and also going to a regional area. So if you think about this pathway that we are discussing today, it doesn't matter where you're going to study, you'll be entitled, you'll be eligible to apply. Yes.
Oh, that's good, because there are many students, especially in Sydney and Melbourne and Brisbane, they are always afraid to don't study in a regional area and everything. So there is a chance for those students to
of
study.
course, the graduate visa for sure. The other visa pathways, they may have an extra option, let's say, you know, an additional option if they go to a regional area. But yes, there are some pathways even in the big cities, definitely. Yes.
Okay. There is one question in the chat. So are civil designers trades in need? I'm civil engineer and I would like to study critical course in Perth. It's
yeah. No, I'd love to respond to that, but I don't think this question is related to the course that we are, you know, talking about today. I think I might be wrong here, but maybe this person is asking about the diploma in civil construction design to be a civil engineering draftsperson, maybe, but you know, I can't see the link between these and the course that we are talking about, or the profession that we're talking about.
So we have another question. What are the exact steps of the migration pathway? So, okay, I did the course.
Yeah. So let's consider it's a new career. Okay, so it's not someone that, you know, has previous experience. So it's a new career. You know, I had a bachelor in business administration in Brazil, and I'm here in Australia. I decided to, you know, to study this course. The person will study 2 years, this certificate 3, and then the person will, as I mentioned before, apply for what we call provisional skills assessment. The provisional skills assessment that will be based on the course and the work placement during the course, which is, I think, part of the course. Then the person will apply, you know, for the 485, the graduate visa, via graduate work stream, which is a 18 months visa. And during these 18 months, the person will have to complete at least 1 year of work experience then it depends, as a metal fabricator, or maybe as a welder, or maybe as a, you know, sheet metal trades worker. It depends on the, of course, on the job. The person will have to complete 1 year of work experience. And this is what we call job ready program with the Trades Recognition Australia. So basically, this program, they have 4 steps. The first step is the provisional skills assessment. Then you get the provisional visa. Once you get the provisional visa, then you can move forward with the step 2, step 3, and step 4. The step 2, 1 year of employment. The step 3 is like a technical assessment. Step 4 is just the final paperwork. So this process that we call job ready program is basically a skills assessment for a permanent visa. So I would say, you know, 2 years of studies plus 1 year, 2-3 months, depending on the person, of course, and, you know, how fast the person will complete this 1 year of experience. 1 year and 2 months, they will get the final positive skills assessment. They will obtain a positive skills assessment. Once they have this skills assessment, then they will, depending on the English test and other factors, they will be eligible to try an invitation for a skilled visa. Okay. Then, of course, we need to assess if it's a skilled the independent visa, which is the national skilled visa, the state nominated, or the regional. Even without the skills assessment, depending on the person's work experience, the person may be able to get a sponsorship as well. So it's not one or another. You know, the person can be sponsoring the end of the graduate visa and keep trying the skilled visa at the same time. So sponsorship is also a PR pathway for those, you know, occupations, because if you are sponsored in an occupation on a medium and long-term skilled occupation list, if you stay in the job, if you work for 3 years in that specific occupation under the sponsorship visa, the company can nominate this person on a permanent visa. So there are different pathways, but I would say, if you think about all of the most common permanent resident visas around, someone is studying this course will most likely be eligible to try all of them, depending, of course, on other factors as well.
There are many options.
Many options, yes. Yeah, many
Yeah.
options, yes.
So it's good. Like, we have many students that they want to start something here. And maybe this course can help them for a permanent residency. So this course can help them, actually.
Definitely, definitely. It's the same as studying cookery, it's the same as studying, it's exactly the same pathway than if you study, you know, cookery, if you study carpentry, if you study even like civil construction design, is exactly the same pathway. You know, depending on the occupation, the assessing authority, the skills assessment will be slightly different. But in most of those occupations, they will need to study 2 years, complete 1 year of work experience during the graduate visa to be eligible to try something else.
Perfect. So we have one more question there. How many points do I need now for independent skill visa?
Yeah, look, this is you know, this is a very tricky question because it's very hard to discuss points, you know, at this point in time. There was something, you know, there was how I'm gonna say, but there is like a ministerial instruction that was, you know, released back in September 2020, of course, where they will give priority to some professionals. So we do have a priority occupation list, you know, at this stage. So there are 19 occupations there. This is not one of the occupations because, of course, they are just focusing on the nursing occupations and, you know, some doctors and some engineers. So because of this priority, they are not inviting people from offshore. And so they're not inviting people from, so the competition, of course, is not as high as before. And the points, if you think about where we can check the points, you know, all of the information that we have to talk about points, if you check today, give me a sec, I'll give you this information. If you think about metal fabricators, they're just saying that the minimum points required for a skill independent visa is 65, which is the minimum. But in my view, the reason why, you know, they're just saying 65 is just that, you know, they're just selecting candidates in a different way. They are giving priority to those on shore. So what they are saying basically is, if you have 65, you need to try.
At least.
Yeah. Which is a good thing. That was higher before, so definitely it's a good thing.
I have one more question about the experience. So there are some students from Brazil, from Latin America in general, or Europe. They have experience before in welding or some subjects related to metal fabrication. So if I have experience before, do I need to do this course to follow the pathway, or with the experience, can I try something?
It really depends on how many years and which kind of evidence you can provide of such experience. Because, you know, in my experience, I have a lot of clients, they do have, you know, a lot of experience. But then when it comes to the evidence of work, they cannot provide, you know, sufficient evidence to go through a skills assessment without studying in Australia. So yes, the person might be eligible if they have a qualification back home plus, I would say 3 to 6 years, depending on the qualification, 3 to 6 years of full-time work experience in the field, experience that we can provide evidence of, including evidence of income. Then the person might be eligible to have a positive, you know, to obtain, might be eligible to proceed on obtaining a positive skills assessment as a metal fabricator. Let's just use that as an example. But, you know, again, it really depends. Based on my experience, it's very common to have UK clients, you know, meeting all of those requirements to go through the process without studying here. From other countries like Brazil, it's very, you know, rare. And normally, you know, the pathway, even if they have experience, which is good for them to get a job, if they study in Australia, you know, that will be quicker. That will be, you know, a better pathway than,
It's easier.
Also, might be easier.
You can have the 485 later to get experience.
Yes, and it's because the number of years of work experience. So we are talking about the course plus 1 year. You know, on the other type of skills assessment they offer, they will need 3 to 6 years. So so might be easier to get, you know, via studies.
Perfect. So as you said before about the sponsor, so I have one question here, like, do I need an employer to sponsor me, or can I migrate? Or can I migrate
Independently. Both,
with
both,
QB?
both. Yeah, both. So you can try both. So definitely the person has, if someone gets a sponsorship and is nominated as a metal fabricator or the other occupations that I mentioned before, the person can get a 4 years sponsorship visa. And if the person works, for this employer for 3 years within these 4 years, the person can be nominated by the employer on a permanent visa, which is the 186 visa. So it's not related to any location. So even in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, the person can be sponsored on a 4 years visa and can get to the PR. And in some of my clients, they even try both at the same time. They are on a sponsorship, walking, through those 3 years, but at the same time, they keep, competing for an invitation on the skilled visa, and whichever comes first, they'll get it. But yeah, I would say all of the options, the only option that we cannot say that they will have access to would be the regional visas, because if they are not employed by a regional, employer, or if they are not on a regional area, they cannot apply for regional visas. But other than that, yes.
Okay, so it's a good point. Many students, they don't know that if they are in sponsor, they also can try to get the skill visa at the same time. Yeah.
That's the best combination, always. I always tell my clients, look, if you think for 1, 2, 3 years that you get an invitation to apply for a skilled visa, and you don't want to apply for a sponsorship, you are actually wasting 2 years, because then you're going to make a decision and you're going to have to wait 3 more years, to be nominated on a permanent visa via employer nomination, which means that get both and see, which one
So you
will come
can do
first.
both at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. You can definitely do.
We have one more question in the chat. What kind of company can sponsor me? And also, what kind of conditions the company needs to fulfill?
Yeah, this is not about the occupation itself. Then we are talking about the sponsorship in general. There is no right and wrong. There is no minimum turnover of the company. There is nothing, in the legislation saying that, a small company cannot sponsor someone. Or now it must make sense. So if a company wants to sponsor someone, regardless if it's a metal fabricator or other, professionals, the person must have financial capability, capacity to pay this person's a salary. And also the company must prove that they try to recruit Australians before nominating the person, the foreign worker on a position. So there is no, there are no conditions applicable to this specific occupation.
Okay. One more question. We know that nowadays, most of the students, they are afraid sometimes to study in big cities like Sydney, as we said. So are there any advantages that if the student did in a regional area, this course can help them more than if they did in Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane?
Yes, definitely yes. Moving to a regional area or studying in a regional area, it will benefit the student. They're gonna get extra points for that, and they might have, again, 2 more options, like visa options, if they are on a regional area. The only thing that we need to be very careful with is the employment. So, and they need to make sure that they move to a regional area, on the right timing. Because if the person is studying, let's say, in Sydney, and the person has been employed since, the beginning of the course, knowing that the person will need to complete 1 year of post-qualification experience in order to have a positive skills assessment, I wouldn't suggest this person to risk this job to get another job, not knowing if the person will get another job, and maybe the person will not complete the 1 year of experience and won't be able to have a positive skills assessment. So we need to think about the timing. So in general, the student will benefit in moving to a regional area, but we need to consider also which one, which is the best regional area for this student. Because, okay, if you go to Adelaide, but metal fabricators are not on demand in Adelaide,
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense other than getting extra points. Yeah, the person will get extra points for studying Adelaide, but if the occupation is not on demand there, it doesn't make any sense to move there. So we need to choose the right regional area. Then you definitely benefit from that.
Yeah, and sometimes the students, they are already working in the field. So we have many students as a labor here. They are working with you and everything. So it's something
we need to think about, because then you have a good relationship, you have a good networking, let's say in a big city. And again, as I said in the beginning, my husband is a metal fabricator. He's been working huge construction since the beginning, which is an opportunity that maybe he won't have, if we were, he wouldn't have if we were moving to a regional area or living in a regional area. So I'm sure that, let's say, because we move on the Gold Coast, I'm sure that on the Gold Coast, he didn't have as many options as he has here. So it's about employment as well. Even more knowing that so many people, are getting permanent visas via sponsorship because of the whole situation with the skilled, migration and the pandemic and etc. We need to consider all of the options before making a decision.
Do you know which state the metal fabrication is in demand?
I was just checking here while we're talking. To talk about, a state demand or territory demand, now it's like, it's ridiculous, because all of the states, they are focused on the priority areas. So I would say, if you think about metal fabricators, Northern Territory, Tasmania, and Victoria and South Australia with special conditions. So but that was totally different before, and that's because of the pandemic. I don't remember on the top of my head if they were, on demand in New South Wales before July, but I think they were. So that will change in July. I'm sure that
Let's see. So about the real cases, for example, I'm engineering. I did a bachelor in engineering, civil engineering, Brazil. So any engineering course. So can it help me in the future to apply as a welding or something, or not?
It depends. It depends on the course, not necessarily. Okay. Unfortunately, not necessarily. Yeah, sometimes the bachelor is not as, is not as practical as the certificates. So sometimes the trades recognition Australia may, the equivalence of the studies may not be the same.
Perfect.
So may not be equivalent, which means that this person won't have the, the minimum qualification required, to pass on the skills assessment. So it really depends on the course.
Perfect. Ju, our time is running out. So I just want to say thank you so much for everything. You are helping a lot our students. I'm receiving many students with your pattern and everything. So thank you so much for everything. And everyone has watching us, guys, feel free to see all the lives that we have in ITTV. So just go there. We have plenty of lives. And guys, feel free to contact us and come to our family, Information Planet.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope, the information was useful. And we'll see you soon with another live.
See ya, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.